All right, guys. Hi, it's your girl T, Tonya McKenzie. You can coin me your PR priestess because I am always preaching the PR gospel. I absolutely feel like our stories are important, how we tell them and connect to other people, actually run the world. So, I am here, happy to be here with you all. I'm in Redondo Beach, California. I'm a California native from the Bay Area, now in Southern California. I tried leaving once, that didn't go so well because California culture is what it is. And I wasn't ready for flying roaches in Louisiana when I went to Grambling University. So I came back to California, and this is where I have made my career in public relations, media relations, and I also dabble in civic engagement. And what does that mean? I'm an LA County Commissioner of Alcohol and Other Drugs because I am a habitual complainer, but I also feel like those that have the audacity to complain about things that are wrong should also do the work to leave this world better than we got it.
I mean, I feel like I just like I'm staring up at you on stage right now. Like that was awesome. That's the best intro ever. That was so good.
Like you said before, though, it's so much, but how do you wrap your arms around all the work you do? Truth of the matter is, it's about the story. What is your story? How do you connect to other people? And what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? Who are you and why should anyone care? So I hope I helped you and your audience understand that.
Yeah, that is a lot. So you spent some time in Louisiana. I don't think I knew that.
So I tried to move because I'm from the Bay. We are the world. We are multicultural. We love each other. And I was like, I need some culture, some real culture. Let me go try this. So I went to Grambling State University. My cousin played football there. So anyone that knows anything about college football, Grambling State University is one of the premier Black colleges with their football team and their band. He was a star there. And I just I wanted a little of him to rub off on me. And, I just wanted to be a little bit a part of that greatness and have the Black college experience. But yeah, like roaches fly in real life there. And no one prepared me for that.
It is not a thing that you can ever. I could tell you it happened, and you still wouldn't realize they're the size of a banana, and that they are like they're huge. They take off. They land on you. It's a horrifying experience.
There was a bug that had a whole face that was keeping me from getting into my dorm one day, and it wasn't a roach, but I almost had a conversation with him. And at that point I realized I need to go. Like, I'm gonna need therapy. This is not, but I enjoy the culture. Like, I absolutely learned that Southern hospitality is a thing. Like, there's nothing else like it. I've never experienced it
Yeah,
like
that's
down
right.
south before. Louisiana, Mississippi, even a little bit of Texas. Like, Southern hospitality is a whole thing, and I do believe that West Coasters could learn a little bit about how you treat visitors, how you treat people.
Yeah. I think. Well, being from I was born in Georgia. I lived in New Orleans and grew up in Texas.
Mm.
So yes, and I lived in. I say I lived in. I was a transplant in San Diego for the
Mm.
summer. So I get it. I see that for sure. When you were at Grambling, was Coach Robinson still there?
He was. Yeah. So, being able to be at Grambling at a time where such a historical figure was still doing his thing. The band was on the top. Erica Badu was there. E40 was there. Am I giving away my age? Never mind. That's enough.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, you know what's so funny is typically I'll ask people if you knew what the number one song was when you like graduated college or something, but do you know what the number one song was when you created your business, when you launched it?
Man, I cannot say that I do. It might have been a 50 Cent song. I have no, I don't know.
It's I mean not terribly far off. Uptown Funk, Bruno
Okay.
Mars. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
a pretty good one. I went back and looked at because you and I our ages are very close. And I went back and looked at some of the other songs from like back in the day, and we
Hmm.
might end up turning this into like a karaoke podcast if I bring up some of those things. Like
I'm with
I
it.
really, there was one that was I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of the group, but there was some Boys to Men was up there. I swear, there was some. I know that once you hear that, that's in my head, and I've been singing it for the last 30 minutes.
Ah, I swear I'm going to write a book one day called The Songs of My Life because there's literally a song for every situation from the 80s all the way till now.
For sure. For sure. Okay. So, all right. So you left the Bay Area. You went to Louisiana. You got to experience a little bit of that Cajun lifestyle there. That's a crazy place, by the way. And for people that have never traveled there, it's not even. It's kind of like Texas is not the South. Louisiana is the South, but Louisiana is Louisiana. Like that's a different group of people. So that's certainly a place to visit. So you go back home, and what happens next?
Well, first I had to lose the 20 pounds that I gained while I was there for 3 months. I transferred to Cal State Northridge. I worked at the university. I worked at Cal State Northridge at a time when we had a really big earthquake here in back then, and it knocked the whole city down. So the university was actually sitting on people's cars, and we had to go to school in mobile trailers. They had turned into classrooms. So I started school there, started working immediately. I found a guy on campus. I was like, hey, I need a job. So I actually worked for the athletic department the whole time I was there. Ascended my way up to become a manager. I actually started working with the leadership to help rebuild the school. So the center that you see now wasn't there before. I learned a lot in that process. Like when you agree to do things, sometimes you don't know what it's going to include. You just agree to do it and you learn a lot. So understanding that I would love to see this school have a nice new gym, right? You can't just say we need a new gym. You have to do all the research. You have to understand how to get the money from FEMA, how to get it spent. Different campuses, you find out Northridge is a commuter campus, so you actually have to have a vote from the community that surrounds it. It's not just the school said they're going to spend this money. And no, because it's a commuter campus, however it's designated, you had to get the community to actually have buy-in in it. So I learned a lot, helped rebuild the campus, graduated from Northridge, moved to the Bay Area with my husband. He's in tech, so he was a really big part of the Silicon Valley. I had a background in, marketing, PR, and sports management. Well, what am I going to do with that? I started working at an agency out there. It's called O&E Color Communications, and they handled all of the product for like Vons and Safeway and big grocery stores like that. I also got recruited to work for the YMCA. So they had a YMCA, and I'm from San Jose, California. So YMCAs are huge out there. They're just like half a block, right? It's just huge. But this city that we moved to, because it was a town becoming a city, and it was Oakley, California. So my friends
Okay.
at Northridge in LA, they were like, Oakley, what's that? Oakland? And I was like, no, it's Oakley. It's just one of those places where if you close your eyes, you could miss it if you're driving on the freeway. Like that exit, it's like a one exit type deal. It's far. So they had a YMCA that was about this big, literally the size of like my living room, and they wanted a big one. So they hired me to be the associate executive director because they wanted to build a new facility. But they had no money to pay me. But I didn't know that until after I agreed to it.
There you
So
go.
I was like,
There's a life lesson, kids. Ask what the salary is before you accept the job.
man. So I worked at the agency while I built my position over in Oakley. So I would get off work and come do market research, cold calling, finding out what programs these people wanted, go back, put the programs together, hire the staff, train the staff, and then try to go back and sell the program. Yeah. Okay. So, like the first time, that first round of going back and trying to sell a program that I thought people wanted, I learned that maybe I wasn't a good listener because they weren't buying what they told me they wanted. I was so mad. I was like, what? What's going on right now? This is ridiculous. On top of the fact that there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me in this town, and there were people that let me know you're not welcome here. So one day I got off work. I'm at work. I get off really late. I go outside, and there's a crowbar in my car, in my window. It's busted out. And there was a note. The crowbar said, "Go back to where you came from." And I was like, where do they think I came from? But I digress. Whatever. Called the police. Like, I'm from the Bay Area. What's wrong with you people? So I called the police, and they were like, "Oh, well, we're not coming. We ain't coming. You got to figure it out." And I was like, "No, you are. You're gonna come, or I'm going to make a sting. Like, you're gonna come get some fingerprints off this crowbar, and you're gonna come handle this situation." So we did a little back and forth, and I was like, "I do know how to contact the media. Like, I'm not good at a lot, but this is something I'm good at. So please, sir, don't make me do that." They came out. They never found out who did it. I continued to push through this whole little situation. Now there's a center, a whole lifestyle center in Oakley that I can say I was a part of. I can go back to Cal State Northridge now and see a whole athletic center that I can say I was a part of helping to get it built. So learning how to get things done, even when there's not a lot of money or guidance, just really learning how the goal sets your path and you just figure out how to do it from there. That's just what I did for most of my career. So you can put it in various different categories, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's the get shit done path. That's really it. It's like, how do you get things done? You work with other people, you build great relationships, you talk to the media, you talk to the community, you engage the people that would benefit from this. You bring in some investors, people that might not directly benefit, but that want to see good things happen, and you make it happen. And that's, did that for the first, 15 years of my life, my adult life, adulting.
Well, you know what? I mean, when you were talking about um, working in the athletic department and then trying to help rebuild everything, I wrote down, I'm like, you were training to be a commissioner then. Like you were training for all the stuff that you're doing now then. But yeah, I mean, the other thing you said, which is, some people call them problem solvers, but it's just somebody who gets shit done.
And it's like, how? We'll figure it out. And now it's so much easier to get shit done because y'all got Google. We didn't have Google. We didn't have YouTube University. We had go to the library and pull up the and do research and find someone that works in that craft that might talk to you to share information. So even, some of the oldest occupations, now it's so much easier to learn how to matriculate through that industry because you have so much information, so much knowledge now that is shared far and wide.
That's right. Yeah, we had the Dewey Decimal System, microfiche, and encyclopedias. Like that's what we had to figure shit out, or just going out and doing something, knocking on doors.
That was it. He said Dewey Decimal. You took me back. Hold on.
That's right. So yeah. That's I don't know if all of this technology is making us better or more lazy. We actually used to remember phone numbers. I can't remember a phone number anymore. That's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
It's funny because I don't know my kids' phone numbers. They know my phone number. I'm trying to figure out why. Like now that's my challenge is how do they know my number and I don't know theirs?
Same.
I'll take it
Yeah,
though. I'll take it.
that's right. That's right. All right. So at what point, of where we are now and where you're in Oakley, right? So after Oakley, what happens next?
Let me just add that while I was in Oakley helping to build this YMCA, part of that adventure was getting to know the community that I was in, obviously, and doing the work. So, getting to know leadership, city leadership, county leadership, then state leadership, being the habitual complainer I am, and a staunch child advocate because I'm also a gun violence survivor, and understand that our young people often wear masks on a regular basis because they don't know how to talk about what has gone on in their life, or they don't want anybody asking them what's going on with you. So they do really well, and you think these great kids are, they're just great. And you're like, no, they actually, their life at home is a hot mess. So I wanted the city to also provide great services and opportunities for the young people. I wound up becoming, that was my first commission I was appointed to, was the youth commission in Contra Costa County up north. So that's where I met Supervisor Federal Glover and became involved a little more than I wanted to, involved in like state and local politics. So then I move out to Southern California because my my husband's in tech. We had a couple of options. This company moved us to LA. We said we would never raise kids in LA, but they wrote the check and they moved us. So we came. And my first job here was actually with Southland Publishing, so another publishing house where I was working with advertising, marketing, PR. Again, did that for a while. There's something in Southern California called, most people don't know, Silicon Beach. So most people might hear Silicon Valley, that's in the Bay Area. Silicon Beach is in Southern California. It's like the little sister tech hub. So we're in Silicon Beach. He's working for a tech company. This Southland Publishing that I work for, they're not using technology at all. Basically, it's like old school newspaper, magazine, but they've been doing it for so long, people are fine with it. But I started feeling some kind of way because these people are paying like $5,000. Small businesses are paying like $5,000, $10,000 for a front page ad. Like, I mean, okay, they get exposed to a very high end clientele community. That's fine. But how are we showing these people that they're getting their ROI? We're telling them. But I also know newspaper world is dying and we have technology. Why aren't we using technology? So I go to leadership and I'm like, hey, got this great idea. Why don't we start using a little technology to show our paying customers what they're getting? And they were like, let us think about that. And they came back and they were like, we've been doing it like this for like 40 years now. I think we're still going to just keep doing this. And I was like, that's cool, but I'm out. And I started a magazine called
Yeah. That's great story, guys. Here's my letter that tells you I'm leaving now.
But Call Me, we're all still friends. But I literally was thinking, this is boring. Like you don't have to be. And I think part of that, and it's the same thing that happened up north when they realized we were about to get a new facility. That new facility also came with new equipment that was then fortified with a lot of technology. So if you look at fitness equipment now, there's a lot of technology on there that wasn't there before. Part of those people telling me to get out was their fear in not understanding if they would be able to play with these new toys. So I eventually had a town hall to understand that. So I implemented like new member orientation to let them know, I hear you. We're going to make this easy for you. Great. So over here, when I'm talking to them about technology with our media, and they're like, no, part of that was the fear. Like, how would our older clients be able to adjust to this? How would our older employees be able to, onboard like we need them to? So I understood that. But that also leaves us behind, right? And it's boring because we have all this technology around us now. My husband's in tech. I'm not doing this. So I started Real Estate Agent Magazine, where all of our ads were fortified with their own website and all this technology where they can see their views and it takes them straight to their website. And it was just fun. And I wanted to be able to provide, fun, high value for all of my clients. Started the magazine, had my advertising clients. Most of them needed PR too. So instead of me wanting to pull all my hair out because running a magazine is hard, I just started doing PR. So I started Sand and Shores, helping businesses, entrepreneurs, and organizations secure media placements, high value media placements. What's high value? Well, it depends on what your goal is. So it might be ABC News, or it could be, the front page of your community paper. It really differs based on what your end goal is. but understanding the community, their needs, and helping them get to understand their target audience became like what we offer. That's really the crux of it. You want exposure. You want people to know who you are. You want a positive response when your name comes up. And if you're not in the room, you want somebody to bring your name up if others need your services or your products. And I'm good at that. So yeah, Sand and Shores.
There it is. Why Sand and Shores?
I mean, I'm in Redondo Beach. Are you kidding me? It's just the essence of. No, seriously. My husband's company is Red Beach Advisors. And we wanted it to resonate with people. When you think about Sand and Shores, what are you thinking about? Like vacation, make it easy. I want to give all of our clients an opportunity to relax on the things that they're not good at and focus on the things that they are good at while we take full ownership of this piece of their business. Because everybody that can make great jeans or, build a house isn't always great at brand management.
Usually never. The thing I've often found is owning a business never makes you a good business person. That's typically right. That's not why they got into it. None of us got into it for that. We got into it because there was a passion for something else that we wanted to do, and then all the other shit that you didn't realize you had to do is what ends up taking a lot of your time. But
True. 100%.
So I want to go back to the media placement because obviously, 2015 is when you launched Sand and Shores officially, unofficially, but a small amount has changed, right? And those been this from then until now, and whereas, this is sort of I might be setting you up here for this question, but I find that earned media now is not as available as it was then. And I don't know if you're experiencing the same thing. So what I mean is, what I find maybe more often is people want you to pay for it, right? It's not a thing where you can say, hey, I did this really good thing and I'd love for you to cover it. Like, yeah, maybe the news, they still do those things, but they're still trying to sell, sponsorships and time and all this other stuff. So everybody wants to be paid for the exposure they're going to give you. Are you finding that? Is that the same experience you have, or are you just better at it than anybody else I've seen?
So here's the thing. You're not off base, kind of. Pay to play has been on the rise. People will find a way to charge you for anything. But the crux of public relations and earned media is about relationships. So we still have the same amount of journalists, right? My job is to have a relationship with those journalists, because now journalists aren't, a lot of them aren't just in one place. Many of them might publish work in various different outlets. So your relationship isn't with the outlet. Your relationship needs to be with the journalist. So yes, the outlet is going to try to sell you ads. The TV station is going to try to sell you ads. But do you have a relationship with a journalist or a contributor or a talent coordinator that no matter where they're at, you have a relationship with them where they know you're bringing them high value clients, you're bringing them high value talent and stories to be able to get them in a place of value. You're not wrong in pay to play is all over the place now, but wrong in that there isn't still an ample opportunity for some great earned media. As a matter of fact, there's more independent publications and industry publications now than there was before. So our jobs is really to have those relationships and understand the best fit for what it is that you need, and get you to understand that, because you always have that person that's like, oh yeah, I want to be in Forbes and I want to be here. Why would you want to be in Forbes if your potential client's not in Forbes? Just for the cachet, just for the namesake? So then there's that element of education and getting them to understand actually what they're asking for, what they need. But that has to be based on their goal. So there's an educational piece of it that comes with hiring a public relations professional, because you always think, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Forbes, I'm gonna be in Cosmopolitan because I have this makeup line or whatever. But depending on your goal, that might not even benefit you. So you have to have someone that's able to get you to understand and reverse engineer it for you. What's the goal? Let's see how we get there. And then I can go out and find the right outlets to pitch you to. And then you have to understand what you're pitching. You might have the most vainglorious story, but what angle of that story is actually going to get that journalist, that editor, that publisher, that talent coordinator's attention to say, I want them on my show, I want them in my magazine, on my website. There's a whole science to it. And I think, unfortunately, people don't want to do the work. They don't want to understand it. They just want to pay somebody to go out and put my name and write me a story about me that they probably ain't even edited in this outlet. Like, delayed gratification is a big deal in public relations. You have to have it, or yeah, you're going to wind up paying somebody to put you those ads that you say as seen in Forbes, as seen on Fox News. Those are advertisements. But some people don't care. They're just like, I don't care, pay it. I want to show up there so I can have my as seen in Fox News. Okay, but what's the longevity and the value of that placement? And then they can go ahead and take you out. Most earned media has longevity, right? So I can go
that's right.
7 years back and find an article that I was in still on that particular website. I've actually had to go to publications before and be like, hey, can you change the contact information for that client of mine on this article that you published 7 years ago? Because it's still on the site. But most things that you pay for, they take you down after a year or two. You go to the link and it's like, cannot be found.
Yeah, of course.
Page cannot be found.
That's right. Your credibility cannot be found. It's gone. Yeah. No, well, and and even to that, it's like, I agree. People they want that instant, oh, I did something great. It needs to be out there. And maybe it isn't that great, or maybe, if you want people to talk about you in a positive way, then do something worth talking about sometimes.
Right. Your credibility is limited.
That's my
job. That's what makes my job really hard, because no one wants to hear that. Well, a lot of people don't. They want, tell me I'm great. What did they say? Kiss me and talk to me nice or something. They just talk to me nice. I'm like, actually, that sucks. The thing you did, it was actually pretty terrible. We need to do something better, or connect with another organization in your community, or go do some community service. Like, come on, we have to do better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you feel good about it, but not good.
We have to be authentic contributors to our society to get the kind of exposure that makes people want to know, like, and trust you and do business with you.
Well, one of the things I think that you said that it makes a ton of sense, and everyone should listen to, is you don't just want it for the sake of having it, meaning the placement or the attention or whatever else, if there's no bigger goal or strategy attached to it, because then it's just like, hey, look, that thing was over there that happened, and now I'm moving on in this other direction, and all the time, money, effort, resources you spend to make that happen were not really worth it. But I think the strategy, to your point, is that's a big piece of what you do, is making sure that the client understands that there's a reason behind what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it helps the greater good of their business or of their exposure.
Longevity is important when you have a business that you've nurtured and you love, because people will look back, and now things are different than they were before. Like, we've talked about all these advancements. When you introduce yourself now, or you introduce your business, while you're talking to someone, they're Googling you. So your digital footprint is hugely important. So doing the work on the back end to make sure that your digital footprint is strong, your reputation is strong, and when media is landed, it's quality media, and it fully represents the greatness that you've put out or your business has put out. That takes a little time, but at the end of the day, it's worth it.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, well, you have a lot of good little things in here. Delayed gratification is underrated. Well, and that's the world we live in now, is that we want everything this instant. Just yeah, right this second. So, do you guys ever utilize any of the, like Haro or Quoted, right? You know, how's do you have any formula or um, any success tips for utilizing those services?
Couple things. Obviously use the technology that's out there to help with those things. I mean, I have filters on my inbox. I work with Prowly. So Prowly is a PR technology, right? That does monitoring, that when I put my filters out there, they find all the stuff. So the first thing I do when I have a client is set all my filters and all my alerts. So when things come up that fit the profile, that fit what I'm trying to do for them, I get alerts, I get emails, and we get right on it. Because timeliness is a big deal with public relations. Yeah, you have to have delayed gratification and understand that, but I can't miss opportunities to put you in these spaces that allow for you to shine. So that's one of the first things is with Prowly, that comes directly to our inbox. What are my keywords? What are the alerts? I get the alerts when those particular queries come through. All the other platforms, same thing. But I primarily use Prowly because they go through all my stuff. They go through the emails, they go through Haro, they go through everything. They scour the internet to find things that I can connect my clients to and myself. The hard part about being in this business and having your own business is you still need to do PR for yourself, Tonya, and for the company. That's a fragile balance that a lot of public relations and marketing professionals kind of struggle with while we're doing the work for other people. Sometimes we miss opportunities to do it for ourselves also. So it makes sense. All this being said, it makes sense to utilize technology to help you with all of these things. There's an app for that. Literally, there's an app for everything. So finding the right app that helps you grab the things out there in the internet world that will help you or your client, help your business or your client. Yeah, we don't discriminate. We use all the things. Haro, Quoted. I am also a journalist, so if you Googled me, it would say journalist because I write a lot. I do a lot of writing myself. Sometimes it's for my clients. I ghostwrite. We have to be multi-talented in order to be able to really service our clients and our business the way that it needs to be serviced. If we're saying, I'm going to take care of you and your brand, that doesn't mean halfway. Like I'm going to handle it. We're going to take care of it.
Yep. Well, there are so many things that come up that when you say, okay, we're going to do this, then you're like, okay, we got to figure out how to get this fixed for you, and this one fixed for you, and this one fixed. And you're right. You end up creating, like, you become a Renaissance woman, right? In the sense where you like, well, I got to learn how to be a stylist now because you can't dress yourself.
No, I just need to know how to hire a stylist because I can't do that either.
Yeah. So I was thinking about something else, but AI. How has, you talked about being a writer, how has AI either hurt or helped your profession?
Oh, man. I love it. Everyone does not feel that way. There are a lot of people that are still very skeptical or scared. They think AI is about to come in and take our jobs. Here's the thing. The humanity that goes into the work that we do cannot be replaced by AI.
Nope.
So you use it as a tool. Like any tool, it can be abused. But guess what happens with technology? They also start inventing tools that will detect when you're abusing it. So like anything else out there, you use it for what it's meant for. It's meant to help you. For us, it helps with research. It helps with, obviously, avoiding errors. It helps with finding information that helps us be more creative in how we're either pitching or writing, and even connecting to other professionals that help us kind of extend our reach or extend the reach of our clients. But for the most part, I love it. I just came back from Poland and did a talk. What did we do? Reimagining storytelling in the age of AI. They proudly partnered me with a movie producer that produces movies only using AI. Incredible. His work is absolutely phenomenal. So he and I worked together to have a incredibly powerful talk um, on the global stage in Poland. So has it helped my career? Absolutely. It helps you. It's a tool. It's like any tool that is out there. You use it for what it's worth. If you misuse it, yeah, it can come back and bite you.
From what I see, the writing thing, like I said, spoke to me is that we're seeing more freelance writers use it, um, you know, use it as a crutch,
Mm.
and ultimately, I think what my concern is that it's going to help. Um, I won't say bad actors, but maybe lazy people or people that don't really care about being a professional in what we do to pollute the the ecosystem with sub average information. And that's the part of it that I shake my head at. And I think I agree with you. Like if you use it to help you become more efficient or to help you become a little bit better at what you do, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Like how do you multiply your skill set, not replace your skill set?
I would even go so far as to say, too, you still have to double check your AI usage. My AI, they fight with each other. Let me tell you, I'm writing, right? My Grammarly and my editor from Microsoft, sometimes they don't agree on things. So I like to play with the capabilities of these tools to see if they align or if they battle. They don't even always agree. So there's two things that need to happen. One is we need to be very cognizant of information that we put out. We also need to pay attention to information we get in. I get pitches because I also have a podcast and I write. So I get pitches. I can tell when they are done by AI. So Haro has been getting a lot of backlash these days because there's been a lot of like computer generated queries that have gone out,
Mm-hmm.
and I can read them and I can tell. Most of us can. For people that really care about the quality of the content that we send out, you start seeing a pattern or you start hearing verbiage that you're like, okay, stop playing with me. But even when I write, I can run a Grammarly check. I also run an editor check, and there really are things that they conflict on. So then I have to decide what is more of my voice. The humanity of it never escapes. You have to continuously insert yourself into your work. And anyone that don't, you can tell, like you can tell. And now again, they start having tools. So even students, right? They start using the technology. Now they're turning in reports that completely generated by AI. Now teachers have a tool that will say, this is AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, come on. They eventually you get caught. So just do it right the first time.
Well, I mean, let's go back to delayed gratification. This is the whole idea of if you don't learn to do the work the first time, you were never going to do it right later. You know, if you're using AI to cheat your way through it, so
Pretty much.
you're not really learning anything, um, which is that's kind of the point.
Unfortunate.
So, yep, that's right. Um, so what's next then? Right, we're kind of up to date. You even dropped the. I didn't have to ask about it. You've got a podcast. You've got how many episodes in are you on your podcast?
Oh God. For leaders and learners, I'm on year 5.
Wow.
So I was actually about to run my Spotify report. So I'll share with that with you later. But for my morning coffee, we had about 1,000 episodes now.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
wild. We've had some incredible guests. So
Yeah,
that has carried
that's
us a
awesome.
long way. But,
For sure.
I'm an author. So I work with authors too. I do help authors with their PR, understanding though they also don't have a lot of money. So more coaching them on how to do PR themselves and getting them booked for book signings and having book events. Also getting them to collaborate with like nonprofit organizations that work well with the cause of their book. So whatever their cause is. Uh, PR is really a part of my daily life because I do believe that your story is important. I have an upcoming book coming out in 2024. It's a women in leadership book. Part of what you said earlier really resonates with the crux of the book, which is a lot of the stuff that you've done for myself, a lot of the stuff that I've done prepared me for leadership as an LA County Commissioner or Contra Costa County Commissioner. A lot of women don't feel like they have the ability to be leaders. Like I get these conversations, oh, I was thinking about running for this office and I don't think I'm qualified. And that like sears me on the inside because when I sit them down and we talk about all of their past experience, I'm like, dude, you're overqualified for this president of the community board position. What are you talking about? But it's getting women to really understand their strengths and their lived experience as qualifications for whatever else it is that they want to do. We sit back so often and we're just like, I can't do this and I hate that. So I have 10 women leaders currently from law enforcement all the way into one of them is a real estate professional who only works with athletes and entertainers. So the top 1%, uh, city officials, elected officials, they're all contributors to this book. But talking about stories that led them to where they are now and being able to recognize their leadership in these situations. It's important to me that we stop feeling like this degree is the only thing that qualifies us or this man over here that tells you you're good enough, then you feel like you're qualified enough. But recognizing that our lived experiences and our past work experience really does set us up for what's next and understanding that and actualizing that. So, book project coming up in 2024, still doing the work, just trying to leave this world better than I got it.
There you go. Well, you basically sort of outlined what what this podcast is about, right? Unreasonably optimistic and starting something and assuming that you're going to do it and it's going to be great, and not having defeat in you before you get into something, and then learning along the way all the stuff that you didn't know. And that's the fun about it, right? Like that's the point of it was like that you said, I want to go do something that's going to be better or different or whatever, and you just go do it. And then it's the stuff in the middle that happens that those are the stories you can tell, and those are where the scars come from, and those are the things that help get you there. And you think about like, and I'm going to ask you this question, which is, what are the things you wish you could go back and tell yourself back then, or you know what would be the advice you'd give yourself that you think would, I don't know, sometimes I worry, what if I did give myself advice, would I change, would I not be who I
Who I am
was meant to
now.
be? Yeah, but what would you do differently, or what would you tell yourself?
I don't really believe in regrets, but after my mom passed, I was on track to go to law school and become an attorney. But instead, I raised I had two little sisters. They were 5 and 7. So me and my husband took custody of them and raised them, therefore sidelining my attorney goals. My advice to myself is do not let anything sideline you. Be focused on what it is that you want and go get it, even if it takes a slower grind. Like, do not be deterred more so by death. I think that really sets people up to kind of wiggle out of things because it's so hard. It is hard. When someone passes, especially someone that was close to you, your mind is just all over the place. And I just decided, okay, well, I'm going to do this over here and I'll do something else so that I can also handle this thing and deal with my emotional situation. But don't let your emotions, don't stay out of these emotional places that keep you from following your path, following your dream. You know, do what you need to do for a minute, but don't get sidelined. Do not get sidelined from whatever it is that you want to do, even when it's hard. When I started the magazine, it took me 2 years to get this magazine going. I was like, I know this work. Like, why is this so hard? I've had so many breakdowns. There was so many times I was like, forget this magazine. But that first issue, man, I cried. I cried the same tears, I think, that I cried when I was frustrated. It was that like impactful. So when you do finish something that you have your goals set on, it is so invigorating.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give that up because you don't get the opportunity to experience that often in life. A lot of people, experience regret and they experience like lackluster optimism based on an alternative, but really go after what it is that you want. It might take a while, grind through it, cry through it, but don't be deterred. I would have told myself that. Don't be deterred.
Yeah. There you go. Well, that's good. I think that to keep going is obviously, that's a good thing. And certainly sometimes I feel like even a version of what you thought you wanted is still a good thing to have. So it might not be exactly the way your mind had it when you started, but to finish is certainly important. So,
But does
all
anything
right.
like I don't know, people get married, right? And they in their mind it's this whole thing, right? Oh my God. Do they romanticize it? People romanticize life a lot. It can still be amazing. It might not be exactly what you pictured or that image you had when you were 18 thinking your dad was going to walk you down the aisle. But that union 20 years later, you're able to look at that, or even a friendship. You didn't know what that was going to be, but you stuck it out and you look at it
Yeah,
later and you're like, I just love her. You didn't, the path was not what you imagined, but the win is you did it. You guys are still here. You're still doing the thing. So
that's
be
right.
tenacious.
There you go. Well, the advice I try to give my kids is the key in life isn't getting what you want, it's wanting it after you get it.
I like that. I like that.